Hello, geeks. Thank you for coming back to watch another Geek 360. Before we get started, this is the part of the show where I typically am a little upset, a little high-strung, but I'm at peace now because it's just gone so over the edge. There's so many reboots and remakes. I can't even be upset. I just have to laugh. What do we have? 3 new reboots and remakes on the docket this week. Neil Blomkamp is remaking Alien, which of course he should. They should definitely do that. It's not Prometheus 2. It's just Alien. Will Sigourney Weaver be back? I don't know. It's a reboot. A reboot means it should be completely new, right? Then they're also rebooting Shaft, a movie that was, for the record, rebooted 15 years ago. Why would you not reboot that? We're going to reboot this show. In 5 minutes, it's going to be a completely different show. But let me tell you the remake that I'm in favor of, Cinderella. In 2 weeks, we're getting a fresh Cinderella, and it's just a remake. The same story. We're so familiar. Midnight comes. Shit gets weird. Then a slipper is lost. Then the slipper is found, and 2 people are reunited, and that's something I could get behind. Now let's reunite with our friends on Geek 360, coming up next. Welcome to another Geek 360. I'm Tommy Bechtold. Thank you for indulging that reboot remake tangent. With me, as always, is my geek host with the most, Stephanie Pressman. Hello, Stephanie. How are you?
Very, very good.
Maniacal, evidently. Do you have something evil planned for the show, or is this just a...
I was just trying something out.
I like it. No, I say try new things. Guys, this is a voyage of discovery, and I'll be your co-captain. My co-host will join me and navigate, but a ship is nothing without its crew, and we have a very special crew member with us. We're very excited to have her fresh from Miami, Florida. The dancing capital of the world. I guess.
Is it?
Yes.
I thought it was known for other things.
No.
Okay.
Please give it up for Jenny Lorenzo. Oh.
Thanks,
Jenny, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How have you been adjusting to life in Los Angeles?
It's like a better Miami.
A better, it's actually on our city sign, Los Angeles. A better Miami.
It is a sunshine state, just like Florida.
Yeah.
Less humid. Less humid.
Less humid.
Little more desert. You're more likely to see some reptiles. And Florida has more amphibians.
About yay big.
Yeah.
I miss those little critters.
Guys, I just realized there's no hint water in front of me. Hint water, the water you missed. Until you got it back. All right, let's talk movies. Because I love movies. Original movies more than remakes, but I also love franchises. And we got some franchise news, not necessarily in the movie realm, but they have, Marvel Comics has announced as part of their new Secret Wars, when they're rebooting all of the comic series, there's going to be an all-female Avengers team, the A-Force. Now, Marvel has a full slate of about 157 movies coming out over the next 8 years. My feeling is, now that they have this cool comic book coming out, you may want to get something in the pipeline. We've got an all-female Ghostbusters coming up. We've got, Agent Carter, which we're going to talk about more, a female-driven comic book series currently on television with a good response. I mean, I feel like we should maybe have this movie in development, but is there room on the Marvel slate? Jenny, what do you think?
I think definitely, because the Marvel Cinematic Universe has pretty much prepared us to embrace an all-female cast. And the point, I feel, of A-Force is to bring all of these varying heroines together. They have completely different powers, personalities, different things make them tick, just like the Avengers. And it was funny to watch them have quarrels. It was the witty banter, their different powers. So it's going to work. I think people are prepared for that sort of thing.
Yeah, and there's certainly the talent in Hollywood to cast the hell out of this thing. I'm excited to read the comic, though, and just see where they go. Stephanie, have you ever... I guess there has been... there's never been an all-female Avengers team. There was the dreaded, Marvel Housewives, or what they did like a Sex in the City style Avengers comic book with all female cast members. This feels, or female characters, this feels a little less condescending and sexist.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of a step up.
I think that females are reading more comics than ever before, and it's time to reach out to those women. In the last 10 years, there's just been an explosion, and in the last 5 years, even more so, of women that are into this stuff.
Yeah.
So, yes, like, make it, and women will read it. Now, will men go see a movie about it? Depends on how many of these characters are played by Kate Upton.
Ah, yes.
But I'm all for it.
She's too busy being like the Secretary of Defense, according to those commercials, I think. She keeps leading armies into war. Kate Upton is a real American treasure, though.
Yeah, and I am totally down to play Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
I'm
Put it
down.
out there.
Down.
Send those headshots and resumes, girls. I mean, I think this could be a real launching pad. A lot of people are watching this show right now thinking, let's cast these two gals, and maybe I could be an extra that dies. I don't know. Maybe you could cast me as like one of the cops that's like, what? And then my car explodes.
I see
You have to have
it,
that same
Tommy.
way.
You
Gotta
got
have
it.
that.
You got that thing.
Speaking of death, Game of Thrones, where death is always a sword click away. Swords click, right? They clang, they clash.
Cling, clang.
Death is always a sword clash away. That's Florida's official motto. Death is always Los Angeles, a better Miami.
That's true.
Florida, death is always a sword clash away.
Yeah.
George R.R. Martin said in an interview that the show Game of Thrones
Game of Scones.
is going to kill off characters on the television show that have not yet been killed off in the book. Now, this is not a new precedent. Some of the men on the wall, spoiler alert if you haven't watched season 4 of Game of Thrones, watch it. It's fucking awesome. What's wrong with you? Subscribe to HBO. It's $15 a month. Drink a little less, cut down on the smoking, subscribe to HBO. You'll live longer. The hint water health advice of the day. But so they are speculating that they're going to kill characters that are not yet dead in the books. The books that, you know, the main death of this series may be George R.R. Martin, for all that we know, because those books are not.
Fans.
We don't know. Yeah, when are they coming out? You didn't like that? You're a big George sympathizer.
I am. I'm a George sympathizer. I'm a thing for that hat.
All right. Well, you're a Game of Thrones fanatic, Stephanie. I'm very interested in who you think is going to croak this year.
Okay, so I want to be clear. I love Game of Thrones.
Sure.
But the thing that bugs me a little bit about it is that there's so much amazing plot going on and amazing characters. And I don't know why we have to have things like the White Walkers and the crap that goes on with Bran, all of that like supernatural stuff. I don't think is necessary. So that's who I'm hoping is going to be killed off. I know it's not happening. But that's my feeling on it. I just feel like there's so much good drama going on already. Why do we have to throw all this other stuff
Outside of the realm.
outside of the
Where
realm?
the wildlings are. Yeah, indeed. Jenny, any thoughts? I know we talked before the show, guys. We're going to have a moment of transparency. Jenny confessed she's not the biggest Game of Thrones fan.
Well, it's not that I'm not. Right. It's just I don't want to have my heart broken repeatedly.
Sure.
And that's what George is known for. And I've seen my friends suffer greatly.
You've seen enough suffering. It's like being a Buffalo Bills fan. There's just so much suffering, and you don't want to see what you don't want to go through what your friends might have gone through. I understand that. I say just kill one of those dumb dragons, you know? They're so expensive to animate.
But dragons are cool.
Killing of dragons.
I just said that to anger the
not
viewers.
Kill dragons.
That was the hint water, anger the viewers with an offhanded comment of the day. Hint water. It's not alcoholic, but I do feel drunk. Stephanie, this brings us to a new segment. A segment we're proud to form as we grow together on this voyage of discovery. Stephanie, will you please tell us who our Geek of the Week is?
Okay, so our Geek of the Week this week is someone that is amazing and makes all of this cool stuff. She makes amazing nerdy aprons, so when you cook or you cosplay, you can wear this cool stuff. And she makes really amazing shirts and tote bags. Her name is Jordan Dene, and you can find her at jordandene.com. Check her out, buy her stuff, hit her up, and follow her on the Twittergrams.
The aprons seem like a very dangerous cosplay unless you wear something underneath.
Let's hope so.
I loved it. I have the Ravenclaw Harry Potter apron, like the Hufflepuff one that you see in the picture.
They should have the Ravenclaw one up there. What's Hufflepuff doing?
Hufflepuff.
You know what? They're kind.
Puff
They're known for
power,
their
come on.
kindness.
But I have the Ravenclaw one, and I actually wore it when I went to Wizarding World of Harry Potter because it's freaking hot in Florida and humid, and it was nice to wear over like some shorts and a t-shirt.
That is really cute, man.
Well, I can't blame you for wearing an apron to a theme park. I mean, who could criticize that judgment?
I wore my cloak. I'm hardcore.
That's hot.
I wore a tank top to
And so
Disney
many.
World because I'm sensible about temperatures, but that's not make this a thing. Guys, we're having fun, but we have to take a quick break because we are going to we're going to show you a brand new show on the Stream.tv, Sweaty Nerds. We're so excited, coming from our friend John Schnepp, who was on the first episode of this show. So check that out, and we'll be right back.
Yay, John.
It's time to get sweaty. It's time to get sweaty.
Let's start over. Sweaty, sweaty. You want to get super sweaty? Oh my God, look at
So you want to start reading some comics, huh?
Hey, I'm John Schnepp, and you're watching Sweaty Nerds, the show that covers comic books, science fiction, special effects, fantasy, movies, video games.
Anything that gets you sweaty.
We're going to be covering, so check it out.
Activate.
I remember seeing it in the theater, and it blew me away.
10 hours makeups, 5 minutes of shooting, and then like 4-hour removal. And that was a shoot day.
How awesome does this just look? I never really understood the character of Superman until I read this.
Absolutely one of the best sci-fi movies ever made. You have to see it because it holds up to today.
It's the best game ever. It is undisputed. You need to play this game before you die or I will cry.
I'm turning into something.
I think he focuses on the right things in sci-fi. I think some science fiction films get bogged down in showing you all this cool stuff.
Sweaty nerds.
It's all wetty, sweaty.
Sweaty Nerds!
You will watch.
Only on the Stream.tv and
Sprinkle, 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 go!
Bravo, John Schnepp.
I mean, a show about comic books, TV, movies, and video games. I just don't know if there's room for it on this network. I'm kidding. I think it's going to be great. John Schnepp is hilarious. Chris Gore, another friend of this show, also hilarious. Comic book girl. Everyone's funny on that show and informative. I give it 2 thumbs up, and if I had 3 thumbs, I'd throw them all up for it.
I'll give you one.
Yes, 1 thumb up. All right, Stephanie's hectic. Skeptic is what I meant. I said hectic.
I was like, wait.
Skeptic. Let's talk about games. Let's get gaming. Let's get our game on. Game's always a difficult subject for me to discuss. Jenny, you don't know this, but these hands were not made for gaming. I say this every week. These hands were made for an NES system, and then as games got more advanced, I set the controller down and began a life of piano playing. But people do like games, and one of the most least popular functions of a game is the co-op form, where you get to play with a buddy. You know, I'm talking about Double Dragon. And people usually choose the MMO or the versus modes. I'm wondering, like, why don't people want to play with their friends anymore together? Why do they like to play against each other? Are we all just that competitive? Why can't we just get along?
It's because you want to murder your friend. I think that's why. At least that's what it's become.
Sure.
I blame the Wii
Yeah,
for that.
the Wii.
I mean, I don't know. What would you guys say would be the ultimate?
Well, for me, I grew up in a 3-child household, and I was the youngest of 3, and my dad was a gamer, so it was very kind of few and far between the hours that I would actually get to play. So when co-op modes came into play, that was great. But originally, co-op for me was like The Legend of Zelda, me being like, there's a bush, burn that bush, burn that bush, burn that bush, come on, burn that one, burn that bush. Yeah. So
And
I
so
think,
Netflix now has to do Zelda the musical.
Yes.
Just scratch the other thing.
but yeah,
agree.
so that was the original form of co-op for me, was like sitting there just watching, waiting.
Sing along.
So when Sonic came out, Sonic 2 with Tails, and I got to like play along and help while my brother still got to like take the wheel.
Yeah.
That was amazing and awesome. And so that's my favorite co-op classic game.
Sure.
Sonic
Did
2.
you have a favorite co-op classic growing up?
Well, as as of now, I've learned to really enjoy the games that you do want to, basically kill your friends.
Sure.
All the screaming, and it gets a little crazy.
Yes.
One of my favorites for that is Super Mario 3D World.
Okay. Yes.
It's a little chaotic. I like games that you control each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I understand that like games like Double Dragon and even, I forgot which Zelda it was, but you have to basically connect all your Game Boys together in order to even, it's like 4 links.
Yes.
And it's, very much about, oh, right, we solved this puzzle together. We're best friends.
Right.
And that's sweet and endearing, but I do like the ones that you're just like screaming bloody hell
I
at each
agree.
other.
I say betray at all costs. Let me tell you, I trusted my brother once and Halo, the first Halo that came out. We played that together. It was his Xbox. He's a little younger than me. We played Halo for 98% of the game. And then one day, like, I went out to go do something else. I don't know, probably hang with my cool friends. Well, my dork brother stayed at home. And he beat the game without me. And I vowed to never co-op again.
You know what other like NES game was amazing at co-op, and it was also an arcade game, and your shirt totally reminded me of it, is Turtles in Time.
Yeah, Turtles in Time.
That
is
was a freaking awesome co-op game.
You can't make the turtles fight each other. I mean, they do like little playful slap fights, but then Splinter will get involved and be like, settle down, boys.
That was an amazing co-op
and they don't
game.
talk about that one as much when it comes to co-ops. More like Borderlands, this and that.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Dang. Turtles in Time. Speaking of going back in time, some great news out of the tech world. Mattel has partnered with Google to bring back the Viewmaster. Hello. I know I had one of these bad boys. I used to go Big Bird to Snuffleupagus to Cookie Monster, back to Big Bird again because he's the show pony. They got to show a lot of Big Bird on those things. Did you guys have this thing when you were a kid?
I still have one.
You still
I still have
today?
one, and I actually wanted to bring it with me to the studio today and forgot. But I love the old Viewmasters. It was like 3D.
Right.
You know?
Oh yeah.
It was like.
It was the original Oculus Rift.
It was yeah, it was.
Did it
was
make
like
you as nauseous as the
2D
Virtual Boy?
and 3D all at once. I loved the Viewmaster. I still do.
Forgot about Virtual Boy.
It's like, I don't know. I understand why they created it to begin with, and it's, the images in front of you, and you feel like you're really there. But as a kid, I wasn't that impressed by it.
Right.
I would just like click, click. Oh, the ruins of Italy, great. And then I'd go play with my Barbies and recreate scenes from Spanish soap operas.
Sure. Well, that's. I mean, you should make a toy that features that function for children everywhere. I just recall it reminding me a lot of like maybe I'm dating myself here, but in school we would get those film strips that would tell a story, and they'd basically be like, there'd just be like a still shot of like a kid like talking to a person, and then they'd be narrating, and they'd doing the voices. They'd go beep, and you go to another slide.
Yeah, I wish.
And you got one of those on your own. But the most important issue is that ultimately the only reason we create these nostalgic toys and things to bring them back is so that we can make porn with them. And we all know it's only a matter of time before you're clicking through tasteful and untasteful nudes on your new Viewmaster.
I don't know. I'd like to think that this is for the nostalgia of passing it on to our kids.
Sure.
If you're an Android.
Yes, that's right.
Person.
It's Android only, I guess. It's no iPhones. Which, it's a good thing the iPhone hasn't really taken off, so it's probably safe to say Android users will thrive with the Viewmaster. I think eventually they'll have to make it so you can put your iPhone in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't use it. I'm an iPhone person.
I want to have fun and give it a second shot.
You'll have to you'll have to settle for your old analog Viewmaster.
It's okay. I'll go old school.
Well, dear God, Jenny, we've had such a great time with you. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
Well, I'm assuming this is the camera I have to look into.
Yeah,
because
look
the
down
red
the
dot.
barrel. Yeah.
Well, I host a show called Geekgasm on the Aggressive Comics channel on YouTube. It's spelled C-O-M-I-X, because we're cool like that. Not really. And we do have a website, aggressivecomics.com. So, yeah, that's where I put all my blood, sweat, and tears into.
Excellent. Well, guys, we will be right back. We're going to take a quick break, and after the break, we're going to sit down with Kevin Cotelier from Marvel's Agent Carter. How about that? After a quick message from the stream.
Woo.
just in case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live.
Just in case you missed it live.
Oh, just in case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live, I'm doing something right now.
So we're all super excited.
So this is dancing.
So what would that be, like a 7?
I cannot. I literally cannot. You guys have got to get it together.
Don't hate the player, don't hate the game. Hate the contract you didn't get.
He's a coward. He's a giant chicken shit.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's going to be like hurricane. Whoa.
Watch out for those girls. They are gagging them.
Hold the phone.
Hold on.
Bro.
That the more brutal you are, the more power you have.
Right.
That was sexy. It was hot. It was heated. I was into it.
You are going to be the most high-paid hooker in the world.
Go ahead and invite your friends and everybody. Tell your mama. Tell them, go ahead and turn the stove off and get up on the computer so we can get on the stream.tv.
Thank you again for joining us, and until next week, bye-bye.
Back. We are so excited because to my right we have none other than Agent Alex Dubin himself, Kevin Cotelier. Kevin, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Pretty big episode this week.
Yeah.
I'm not by the way, if you have not watched Agent Carter and plan on catching up on it, just put this thing on mute and go over to Jordan Dene and order some aprons because we're about to talk about the show. You know, I wouldn't say you failed at your job this week, but there was a little snafu.
Yeah, there was a snafu.
And America's sweetheart Shea Wiggum may no longer be with us as a result of Alex Dubin's actions. Now, you are hitting on this show. Your role, you play an agent who works in the science department.
That's right.
We were saying off camera that you're probably a doctor of some sort to get that sort of graduate. They don't call you doctor, but I think of you as a doctor. You look very scholarly.
Thank you.
So you hit for what I refer to as the actor cycle by appearing with every series regular on screen. That's not easy to do for an actor in this town.
It's not easy to do. No, it was harrowing.
Yeah,
I had to really, and in my scene it was very tense.
Sure.
And because in the midst of failing,
right,
as a doctor and a scientist, I did not also want to fail as an actor.
Right. Sure. You also had to say those lines.
I had to say the lines, right? You had to remember them, say them, and then you had to say different things to different people, and they've been playing together for a couple weeks, months.
Yeah.
And I'm new to the scene, so who's this guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's
and
this guy?
That's what I'm thinking. And this is what fascinates me about a show like that kind of takes place in, I mean, although it's not supernatural necessarily, it's a fantastical, made-up world. It's not like a Law and Order where you're like, you know, solving a case in New York City. Like, is it bizarre to be doing this crazy, like, techno scene, like, where you're, like, trying to defuse a bomb, and then they yell cut, and you're like, coffee, please, and Shea would like Twizzlers with his Dr. Pepper, or is it like?
No, Shay's real intense. He's an intense just actor. I mean, I'm not sure if he's method, but he's definitely dialed in. He was definitely in that suit and sweating, and so was I. The sweat on me is real. Yeah. Plus, I was supposed to be like on top of him,
right?
Like in the beginning, like when we were rehearsing it, like I had to like mount him
right.
and be like trying to, and he's like, "This isn't working for me." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, I dismounted.
You dismounted
as you're supposed to.
As you're taught with all beautiful horses.
Yeah, exactly.
When they begin to fight you, you must dismount.
Yeah, no means no. So I dismounted, and then I just did whatever they told me to do, and they just rearranged stuff, and it's up to you to kind of just.
That's nice, but I mean, pretty impressive start to the show. Now, I mean, obviously, there's things you probably can say and can't say, but do we think that Agent Carter's going to be back for another season? Is it looking good?
Your guess is as good as mine. I think so. I think that it's really, I think it's hit its stride, and I think that because it's a kind of a shorter series, an 8-part series, that it's kind of starting to pick up steam, and I think so. I think it's going to get picked up.
I completely agree. I mean, I watched it from the beginning. I would say if you haven't caught up on it, the beauty of it is it's only 8 episodes. You can catch up. You catch up on a long weekend. I know many of you are going to meet your lovers this weekend, and you won't have spare time. But for people like me, that it's just a bottle of red wine and old yearbook photos, Agent Carter's a snap on a Saturday. And I think you're right. It really did build They did a good job in the pilot of kind of reintroducing us to Peggy Carter, and then it kind of there was a little plateau, and then it got real good in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I would say.
You got to load up the information.
The Cotelier bump, I would call it.
The Cotelier bump, yeah. And plus, it was an explosive ending yesterday. We lost, a main character, someone who was very integral to the plot. A surprising explosion.
I mean, I'm pretty good at knowing what's going to happen on things. I don't read a lot of spoilers, but being intuitive. I did not see that coming. I thought it was incredible. So hypothetically, season 2 comes out. Will the agent / Dr. Dubin himself be back?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, why not, right? Maybe like a small web series on the side or
a
something
little
like that.
side
A little side project.
Dubin does it.
I would love to. As of now, I mean, I'm still around as of this episode. So the game is, as you know, in these, is to stay alive.
You got to survive.
Stay alive.
Because a lot of people are broken.
I'm part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You are.
And I'm still alive. And as long as you're alive, as long as there's life, there's a chance.
That's good. That's a great call, Kevin. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, that's it for Geek 360. I want to thank Stephanie Pressman, my co-host. I want to thank Brian Conowall and Greg Cashmanian with helping us produce it. Of course, I want to thank the Stream.tv. Follow us at Geek 360 Show. Like us on Facebook under Geek 360. Tweet at us. See us on the street. Slap us in the face. I don't know. And we'll see you next week. For more Geek 360, click subscribe on the Stream.tv.